Hello everyone, welcome to Software Testing Expert Talk series. Today we have a guest who has 14 plus years of experience in quality assurance engineering, working with MNCs, mid-size, independent testing and startup organizations so far. Currently, he is handling the role of test architect at one of the IT organizations across the world. In his career, he has worked in building COE practices where his role was developing tool-agnostic framework for test automation, creating documentation for proof of concept, framework design, gap analysis, tool evaluation report, test estimation templates, test metrics, and test strategy. He has also supported pre-sales solution for the organization he has worked for, where his role was doing customer analysis, creating proposal RFIs, RFPs, and RFQs, defining engagement scope, engagement approach, indicated timelines, delivery, and pricing models. He also has great project management capabilities, where he has managed projects with iterative and agile model, created test strategy, delivery, and risk mitigation plans, have done project reviews, including code, framework, and required coverage. Apart from this, he has interest in training people, and in that section, he has conducted numerous technical trainings on tools and processes, have experience in on-site and online corporate trainings, conducted online training for companies from Australia, Germany, USA, Canada, and a lot more. I have talked about a lot of skills he carries with him. Now, I will not take more time in introducing our guest for today's STET session. Our guest is Vallalrasu Pandiyan. In short, we call him Valla. Welcome to our show, Valla.
Hey, thanks, Ajay. That was a brief introduction. So first, I thank you and the QA Fox team for giving me this opportunity to talk in the STET.
Thank you, Valla. So today, Valla will talk about an API testing tool from SmartBear named as ReadyAPI and demonstrate us what this tool can do in the world of API testing. Let's hear from him directly. Over to you, Valla.
Thanks, Ajay. So let me go ahead and share my screen, and then we will start introducing the tool, and we will see a small demonstration on the tool.
Please go
so
ahead.
I'm sharing my screen. Hope you're able to see my screen. So
yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, so today we are going to see about ReadyAPI, an API testing platform from SmartBear. It's an single solution for doing API testing. So ReadyAPI is a platform which includes functional testing, security, performance, and virtualization. We will be able to do using ReadyAPI. Okay, so ReadyAPI is a licensed version, and SmartBear also has an open source version which is called SoapUI, in which we will be able to do only the functional testing part. In ReadyAPI, we will be able to do functional, performance, and virtualization. We will be able to do using ReadyAPI. So ReadyAPI is an end-to-end tool which can do whatever is required to do an API testing. Mm-hmm. So using this, we will be able to create functional test using SOAP, REST, GraphQL, MQTT, and even Kafka. So for security testing, we have predefined templates, which we will be able to use in the existing APIs, and then we will be able to do a security test also. So in the performance test, we will be able to generate a load stress on the APIs, and then we will be able to test that also. And to create virtual service and integrate with your SoapUI Pro, we will be able to integrate, and then we will be able to get the results also, right? So SoapUI is an open source tool. SoapUI Pro is an paid version of the API testing tool. and we call the complete platform as ReadyAPI. So now recently they have renamed SoapUI Pro as ReadyAPI Test, which is a functional and a security testing tool. LoadUI Pro, it has been renamed as ReadyAPI Performance, where we will be able to do performance of API testing. Then Service vPro is renamed as ReadyAPI Virtualization. So all these three tools combined together, and then we call it as a ReadyAPI. Okay. Now we will see about the major features of ReadyAPI. So ReadyAPI has a very user-friendly UI. So any beginner would be able to start API testing, and they can easily understand, and they will be able to start because of its friendly UI. So in ReadyAPI test, it has scriptless API testing we will be able to do. And also it supports scripting. Say you will be able to do custom scripting if required using Groovy and using JavaScript. So in ReadyAPI test, we will be able to do an end-to-end API testing, integrating with ReadyAPI Virtualize. We will be able to do an end-to-end API testing also. And ReadyAPI has a very detailed dashboard, which we will see as part of the introduction when I share the tool. And also it's very easy to do a data-driven testing. Say, for example, your data is in a DB. Is it in an Excel? Is it in an XML format? Or like you want to generate a set of data and then you want to do a data-driven testing. We have all these features available in ReadyAPI. And also to measure the test coverage. So like ReadyAPI has inbuilt capability of giving the coverage between the requirements and whatever the test that we have created. And also ReadyAPI test has an AI-driven test creation feature, and also it can create smart assertions depending on your responses. And nevertheless, ReadyAPI also has a CI/CD integration with most of the leading tools, and also it has a plugin by itself. Okay, so now we will see about the tool before we go to a demo. So today we are going to see a demo of how to do a data-driven testing using ReadyAPI. But before that, I just want to introduce the tool. So I'm going to go to the tool now. So this is the ReadyAPI tool. So as I said, you can create a functional test. You can create a load test. You will be able to create a virtual service, and all these things we will be able to do. Apart from this, on the dashboard, we will be able to see the history of the executions, the reports, the data, and then also you can get the custom report depending on the date or depending on a set of days, or you can just create a custom date and then you will be able to do. Then it has integrations. So it has various number of integrations that we will be able to do. Whatever the leading integrations, either it could be Jira, either it could be Swagger Hub, or whatever the integrations that we require, it is all available here from the integration panel. So basically we have a dashboard panel in which we will be able to see the results and create the test. Integration, we will be able to integrate with external tools, and then we will be able to expand whatever that we have developed with our API. And coming to the main section where we have the projects, in this place, we are going to create a new project, and then we can create either a functional or a performance or a virtual service based test. So for today's demo, we are going to concentrate primarily on ReadyAPI test, which is the functional testing feature.
All right, Valla. Valla, before we go into demo, I have a question to you on ReadyAPI.
Yes, please.
So how ReadyAPI doing things differently in the world of API testing, which other API tools are not able to do in current API testing market?
Okay, as I said, it has a very user-friendly UI. That is one major advantage. Second thing is you will be able to do without any scripting knowledge. No scripting knowledge is required to start automating an end-to-end test using ReadyAPI. And also one single tool which can automate your SOAP, your REST, your microservices and Kafka, all these things it will be able to do. And one most interesting feature is whenever you create a functional test, you will be able to convert it into load test. So using the default templates, your functional test will be converted into an load-based test, and then you can use it. As I said, ReadyAPI is not just a single tool. It's a platform which has functional, performance, and virtualized testing in a same platform. So these are the primary advantages of ReadyAPI over the other tools.
Oh, wow. Great. Looking forward for the demo. Please go ahead.
Okay. So now I am going to create a new project. So I'm just going to File, create a new functional test. Okay. So, and it is asking either we have an API definition, either it could be a Swagger, Open API, a WSDL, a WADL, or it's an endpoint where we have the location of the REST API. So for this demo, we are going to use the Swagger pet store, where this is primarily a JSON file, sample file, which we will be using for our demo. This is like a basic pet store where we have APIs to get the details about the pets, create a pet, get the values of the pet, what is the status of the pet, deleting kind of things. And also we have stores. So the pet store details, we will be able to use these APIs and then we will be able to get. And also depending on the users, we will be able to have a set of APIs and then we will be using this. So this REST API, I am going to use it for our demonstration, right? So I'm going to use this JSON file. Okay. And here I'm going to click on start. Okay, let me repeat this step. Okay. Okay, so we can create a project from the project dashboard. So I'm going to click on create over here, right? And my project has got created and I can rename the project just by making a right click. And I'm saying demo project. Click on OK. Now I have copied my API from the Swagger pet store. I'm going to go to my APIs and click on this add symbol and import an API definition, right? So here I'm going to give my JSON file, which I have used from the pet store API, right? Then depending on the protocols, you can just say to detect it automatically, or else you can select with whatever the information that you have. And one another point to see here is, as I said, we will be able to do a WADL definition file, a WSDL file, Swagger Open API definition, GraphQL schema, and asynchronous API definition, which is something related to Kafka. Okay, so I'll just leave it as determine automatically and say import the API. Now the API definition is getting imported from the Swagger definition, that what we have defined. And on the left, you'll be able to see whatever the features that I have mentioned, and which it has like getting the pet details, and you have a set of APIs which will give you details about the pets. Then you have something related to stores. Then you have something related to users, right? You're able to see all this, which I showed you on the Swagger documentation, right? And also to mention here, as I said, ReadyAPI is a platform for API testing where we can create a functional test, a security test, a performance test, and then API virtual, which is like the service visualization, which we will be able to do it. So in today's topic, we are going to see primarily on the functional test part.
Okay.
Okay. So now we will see a small demo on how to do a data-driven testing using ReadyAPI. So I have imported my API over here. Now I have to create a test case. So I have all my definitions defined here, right? So I am going to use my pet ID, and I have a method saying get pet by ID, and I have a request here. So for this, I'm going to create a test case, right? So what is this method will do is whenever you give a pet ID, it will return what is a value that you're going to get. Say, for example, I give a value as 1 for the pet ID and I execute, I'll be able to get a set of response. Similarly, if I give 0 and I just send over here, I'll be able to get a response for whatever the pet details that I have. So I'm going to create a small test for this. So just I'm going to right click on the request and say add to test, right? It's a very user-friendly UI. So here, first I'm going to give my test step name. I'm going to say get pet by ID, right? And it is requesting for me for the by default assertions. So either to validate for the status code, which is 200, which will be for the success. Then you have validate the response SLA. So if you require, you can have this or you can uncheck this. So for us, we will add this over here. Now I'm going to click on add a test case. So I will say data-driven demo and click on OK over here. So now my test suite has got created. Now I'm going to create my test case. I'll say TC underscore get pet by ID, right? And click on OK. So now my test case has got created. Now I am adding a test step just by clicking on OK. If you see, it has created my functional test. So under my functional test, I have created a test suite naming data-driven demo, and I have created a test case in which I have given it as TC underscore get pet by ID. Then this is my test step, which is get pet by ID, right? So in this test case, I can just give an input 1 and then I can get a response. Similarly, depending on the data type, we will be able to give the inputs and then we will be able to get the response over here. Okay. Now on this step, we will see how we will be able to add a data-driven test, right? And one key thing, as I said, without any scripting, we will be able to create all the test steps, but also it has a flexibility of creating new set of steps using your Groovy scripting. But currently we are going to see how to do a data-driven test, right? So for that, I will first create a set of Excels in which I have given the pet ID with all the values starting from 1 to 10. So the pet ID details, I'm going to pass it to my request and I'm going to iterate with all this data. And then we will see how we will be able to get the results. Okay. So now to integrate the Excel or say like for any of the database or any of the input type, I'm going to add a new step just by right-clicking it, add a step, and I'm going to say data source. So I'll say this is as demo data source and click on OK. So I have created a test step first for my request. Now I have created a test step for my data source, right? So it is asking whether would you like to generate the parameter values for the request. Because we are going to read it from the Excel, we don't require to do it. So I'm just going to click on no here. Okay. Right? Now I have to drag this and say the demo.data source as the first step. And then I'm going to have my pet ID. Now I need to add my Excel to my demo data source. So if you see, it is asking for use the data source to create the data-driven test, right? So as I said, it will support multiple data source. When I click this select option, I'll be able to see either it's a data connection or it could be a data generator. So data connection can be your DB, your JDBC, all this kind of things. A data generator, the tool will help you to auto-generate a set of data, and then you will be able to use it. Under a directory, you can use it, and then you can get. Similarly, Excel, using the Excel data, we will be able to do. Then you see a file, a grid, a Groovy, a JDBC, a JSON, and an XML. So for our demo, we are going to use the Excel. So I'm just going to click on select Excel, right? So once I have selected the Excel, it is asking for get the data from sheet in the Excel. So I'm going to browse and go to my desktop, in which I have created this API test data.xlsx and click on open. So now I have imported the Excel to my data source inside my ReadyAPI test and say click on yes to import the properties. So it is asking for the worksheet name, right? So whenever I have an Excel, I can have n number of sheets, so that it is asking for which sheet that you want to use, right? So I'm going to say sheet 1, and the starting cell will be A2. The reason because A1 will be the header of the file. So I'm going to give it as A2. So just to go there and show you the Excel. So this is my Excel file and this is my sheet name, right? And A1, I have just given a header as pet ID so that I am starting it from my A2.
Right.
So here I am going to import the properties and click on OK. So now it has asked for my Excel file. And here I can just give my sheet 1, right? And if you want to give my select cell, I'm just start cell from A2. And here say I will rename this. And I can say as okay. Now we have added the Excel, and to get the details of the Excel or any data source, I can just click on run here. And when I click run, if you see, it is giving me input saying like get the first 10 rows from the configured data source. So it is not only for Excel, it can be with any of the data sources. When you just run here before even integrating, you'll be able to see all the data, how it is getting read here. So it is saying maximum give all the data. So for now, I'll just give it as 5 so that you'll understand the difference and click on Okay. So now if you see, I'm getting from 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Out of my Excel, out of my 10 data, I am able to get 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So now we have configured our Excel into my ReadyAPI. So you may have a question now. So whenever I have my Excel or any data source, I need to iterate the data, right? So I cannot run on a single data. So it has to run on the data 1, and then it has to go to data 2, data 3, and data 4. So where is the iteration step? So for adding that iteration step, I'm just going to just right click and add a step. And I am going to say data source loop. First, we have added data source. Now I am going to add a data source loop. So I am just naming it as demo data source loop. Click on OK. So I've added my test step. I've added my importing my data source. Now I have added it for my Excel data source loop. So in the Excel data source, we need to select which is the data source step and which is the target step. So what is meant by the data source step is our input data where I have my Excel. And what is the target step is my test step, which is my get pet ID, because I'm going to read the data from Excel and pass the data in my get pet by ID. So I'm just selecting get pet by ID here. Right? And click on OK. Now I have connected my data source to read the data. I have my test step and I have my data source loop. Now I have to connect my data source and then the test step, right? So this is my test step. If you remember, I have just given it as 0, 1, 2, and 3, and I have checked it over here. Now I have to add this data source over here. So now I'm going to just make a right click and say get data. And if you see, it is showing all the steps. So demo data source, get pet ID, and all this. So I'm going to get the data from demo data source. And this is the column name which we have used. Now I'm clicking on add. So now we have integrated and also we have iterated the data. Now to see all the steps, I'm going to click on the test case level where you will be able to see the demo data source loop. And this loop is going to run between the step and this data source loop. Now I can select a complete test suite, or I can select a complete test case, and then I can execute it. So first, let me run it from the complete test suite. So it is saying this is the step, right? I'm going to click on run. So it is executed and it has stopped for one of the failure, right? Let us see what is that failure about. Before that, I'll again run it from my test case suite. So I'm going to run this from here. And I'm going to show you the transaction log. So if you see, for every set of data, it has to iterate, right? So the configuration settings, whatever that we have, it would have been said like whenever a test step is a failure, maybe we need to stop the test, right? So I need to modify that. So if you see on under my ReadyAPI preference on the default test case option, whenever there is a failure, we are asking to abort the test. So I'm just going to uncheck this and fail the test case if the test step fails, right? And maybe click on OK now. Come back to test case. If you see, we have added the demo data source where the data will be read. And on the data source loop, it is going to iterate. And the input data we have added in the value. So each and every value from the Excel, it is going to pass it over here. And then it is going to iterate it for the number of data, whichever we have added from the Excel. So now I am going to run this test case. So if you see, I have step 1, step 2, and step 3. So it is going to iterate through this 2 steps. Now I am going to hit on run. And then if you see, it is running multiple times. And if I just go to the transaction log, you'll be able to see the steps are getting executed one after the other. And then it is getting passed. So each and every step is counted as a single step. Say, for example, a demo data source, get pet ID, and demo data source loop, all is being identified as a test step. And if you see, we are able to execute all the set of data which we have read it from Excel from data row 1 until data row 2. We have got it passed, but we don't have any assertions that has been added to this data-driven test. Now we will see how to add an assertion. So assertion is something like a verification. So what is my expected results and what is my actual result, right? So in assertion, as I said, in ReadyAPI, we have something called as smart assertion, which is an AI capability. So on this executed result, on the right of my response, I'm going to click on this smart assertion. So it will give, with respect to the received data, whatever the assertions that we want to add, we can add it over here. But currently we are doing a data-driven test. So the data is going to change. So we will not add all this data-related assertions on each and every node of the response. Instead, we are going to add an assertion here. Click on add for the current item. And if you see, there are multiple assertions that we will be able to do without any writing a single line of code. So I can add property-based assertions, say like it contains, it does not contain JSON path matching, and you have multiple assertions. Apart from that, you have compilance, status code. What is the valid status code? What is the invalid status code? All these things we will be able to add. Then SLA based. Then if you want to write any custom script, you can write, and then you will be able to do. So there are multiple assertions over here. So now we are going to add an assertion, which is the status code assertion. So I'm going to click on add, right? So it is asking me what is the status codes that we want to add, right? So as we know the status code, we need to add a success 200. Now I'm clicking on OK. Now the current result, which is the end result of the last data, it has got passed. So let me rerun the test one more time. I'm just going to my test case level and I'm going to rerun the test. So whenever a test step is giving a data as 200 as the status code, it will pass, and the data whichever didn't give a status code as 200, it will fail. Okay. So if you see all the steps for data row loop 1, it has got passed, and you can open and see what is the response that you have got for ID 1, which we have passed, and what is the response. Click on back, and for data row loop 2, you can just open and then you can see what is the value it has given. And for all this, whichever you are seeing as pass, the assertion has got passed. So let me show you where the assertion has got failed. So in the last step, it has failed. Now I am going to open this and we will see, and like we are able to see the assertion which has got failed. because we didn't get a status code as 200 and the status code which we received were 400. So this is how we will add an assertion. Even in a data source loop, we will be able to iterate and then we will be able to validate the test. And as I said, there are multiple level assertions for each and every step. We will be able to add it over here. And also you can see the logs of execution. What is the time it is taking and what is the number of times it has executed. We will be able to see all this. So this is a very simple way to add any type of data source with the data and adding the specific step. And because we are doing a data-driven testing, we need to have a loop of data so that we are adding a data source loop also. This is how we will be able to execute and then we will be able to get the results. So now in ReadyAPI, by default, we will be able to get the results. So if I just select on this test suite level and I click on report, I can just get a test suite based printable report, JUnit style report, data report, and Allure report. So for us, we will see a printable report so that it's more readable, right? So on a test suite report, printable, I'm just going to say and click on OK. So it is generating a report. We have not written a single line of code, but we will be able to generate this report. I can save this report on my desktop. Say I'm just saving it as a PDF file, and you can use any of these data formats to get that. So for our readability, I'm going to show you on the PDF format. Click on save, right? Now I'll go to my desktop and show you the PDF result. So here you are able to see the test case report. What is the test case name, right? And what is the time taken? What is the total number of test count? What is the number of test steps? What is the number of steps failed? What is the assertions count that we have added? And what is the failed assertion count, right? So like this, we will be able to get a detailed report, which will give us all the details. And also here, you'll be able to see what is the response that you have got for a failed test step also, right? So the response of the failed step is also captured over here. So this is how we'll be able to generate a report. This is a test suite level report. So if you want to create a project level report, we will be able to do that also. Just if you come to this thing, and if I just select on the functional test level and I can create a report, right? And this is going to be a project level report. And if I just select the test case, and also if I click on report, I'll get the report only specific on this test case level. So if you see, it is a test case report for this thing. And again, I can just save this and say test case level report, right? As it supports multiple format, just keep it on the PDF side. Let's go to the desktop, and this is a test case level report.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
That's great.
So you're able to see detailed report.
Yeah.
Yes. So this is about the demo of how we will do a small data-driven test using ReadyAPI and how to add an assertion and how to get the report from ReadyAPI. Without even writing a single line of code, we are able to do all this.
Awesome. Very easy to use tool, I can say.
Yeah, it's actually very simple, and any beginner will be able to start, and then they can create a test, and then they can add an assertions, and then they'll be able to check it.
Okay. So I think as demo is over, so we can move to Q&A part, if that is fine to you.
Yeah, yes, please.
So my next question is, does ReadyAPI tool provides performance check of requesting an API and getting a response?
Yes, as I said, ReadyAPI is a complete platform. So using my functional test, I'll be able to convert it into a performance test. and then I'll be able to get the results for in the performance also using the performance test. So and like one another advantage is your existing functional test you will be able to convert into your performance tests.
Okay, got it. Coming to next question, Valla. So what are the key benefits of using ReadyAPI tool in our API testing projects?
Right. So that it has a very friendly UI so that we can create the test very faster, and you don't need to write any scripts. You can do a functional test, you can do performance, you can do virtualized test, and then you can create reports under multiple levels, integrating with CI/CD, mapping with any most of the test management tools, getting the results, integration, dashboards, all these things anyone will be able to do just by handling the tool and knowing the features of the tool.
Okay. Coming to next question, Valla. So as you talked about integration, so what native integration does ReadyAPI provides?
Yes, as you see on the integration tab, there are n number of integrations that's available. If you see for the API definition, we have a set of integration. API management, we have a set of integrations, right? CI/CD, we can integrate with that. Azure DevOps, Jenkins, Docker containers, TeamCity, whatnot. You have a lot of integrations that's available by default. Oh. So that you can also see here, whatever the integrations, SmartBear set of integrations, third-party integrations. You can see there are n number of integrations. And also if you want to import any integration from an external file, you'll be able to do that also.
Okay, that's interesting. A lot of course, integration can be seen. Okay, so next question is, what are the key technologies does ReadyAPI supports?
Yeah, so in ReadyAPI, we'll be able to automate a SOAP, we'll be able to automate a REST, we'll be able to automate a microservice, and we will be also able to automate asynchronous stuff, something like Kafka, we will be able to automate also. So all this we'll be able to do using ReadyAPI. GraphQL, all these things we will be able to do. And I can just show you under my test case, if I just right click, and if I say add step, right, you're able to see here SOAP, REST, HTTP request, JDBC, JMS request, GraphQL, right, API, connection, XML, RPC. So all these things we'll be able to do. And also we'll be able to do MQTT based test also.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay, Valla, next question is, so what scripting languages does ReadyAPI supports?
Yeah, as I said, we will be able to do all this without scriptless option only. But also they have given an added advantage that if you just want to write a script for your flexibility that you want to do, you can handle it. So for that, primarily we use Groovy scripting. And if you see here, I have a Groovy script step I can add, and I can write my Groovy scripts over here, and then I'll be able to use it here.
Okay, got it. Fine. So one basic question I want to know, Valla, like how does SoapUI and ReadyAPI differs?
Yes. So SoapUI is a very good open source tool, which looks more similar to ReadyAPI. But the additional features of ReadyAPI, as I said, we can do without the scripting. We can do performance, we can do virtualize and all this. In SoapUI open source, we need to write Groovy scripting to do most of the important actions. But in ReadyAPI, it's all, because it's a paid version, we will be able to get all the features. So like that's the difference between SoapUI and SoapUI Pro, which is recently called as ReadyAPI Test.
Okay, got it. And what about reporting? So what kind of reporting does ReadyAPI testing provides? We have seen one, and what other reports are there?
Oh, yes. So the reporting, as we have seen, you can get n number of reporting styles. So printable report, the S-suite printable report is like your Excel, your PDF, all these things you will be able to get. And if you want to get a JUnit style report and then you need to integrate in your existing reporting structure, you'll be able to do that. And also Allure reporting, we will be able to do. But primarily, I have seen people using a test suite printable report. As we have seen, it's very detailed, step level, and it generates in multiple formats. Either it's Excel, PDF, HTML, CSV, all this. So primarily, we can use any of these reporting styles, and then we'll be able to get the reports.
Okay, got it, got it. So as per your 14 plus years experience in software testing industry so far, so what would you say like about skills that today's tester should acquire?
No. Now the expectation of each and every resource has increased. So I would suggest at least the automation resources should know at least one UI testing automation tool. Either it could be UFT, Test Complete, Selenium, RunnerX, whatever. So all this set of tools, and they need to know at least one API testing tool with hands-on experience, so that it will be good in the market, that you will be able to be on a most required person, because you need to know at least one UI and one API testing tool is the primary requirement.
Got it. So any words of wisdom from your end for today's tester?
Oh, yeah. So as I said, if you learn one UI automation testing tool, and if you learn the second tool, and if you know two tools in hands-on, then like learning any other tool with any scripting language will be very easy. So that like start learning your tools, and then you can increase your number of tool capabilities that you will be able to do, but also concentrate in recent trends, DevOps, RPA, all these things you can learn, cloud-based services, all these things you could learn and be on the top of the market.
All right, Valla. So thanks, Valla. Finally, we have reached closer to this wonderful session presented by you on ReadyAPI. If anyone wants to reach out to you, then what are the ways to reaching out to you?
Oh yeah, primarily you could reach me on my LinkedIn profile. So if you search my name on LinkedIn, it's a bit unique, and then you will be able to connect with me, right? And my full name is here, Vallalrasu Pandiyan. So if you just search in LinkedIn, and then you'll be able to connect with me.
All right, got it. Anything else you want to share before we wrap up this session?
Yeah, thanks for giving this opportunity, Ajay, and also for QA Fox. We will continue to do sessions on other tools, and very glad to be part of STET.
Thank you, Valla. Thanks, Valla, for joining us over STET and sharing your knowledge based on your experience in your tenure in IT industry so far. Hope our audience will learn a lot of things from your session, and we would be expecting more such deep dive sessions in upcoming days as well. We wish you all the best for upcoming projects on which you're working on, and thanks for being part of our STET journey.
Yeah, thanks, Ajay.
Thank you.